Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript lessons in Codecademy. So last time we made our own small adventure game which was a bit more advanced than the previous one we made, and I promised you that we will be looking at arrays and objects. So that's what we're going to be looking at, or starting to look at today. We've already looked at how to make an array and a bit of how they work, so our first lesson is just to remind ourselves of how to create an array. So our array is going to be called list, and how you make an array again is making a variable with whatever name you want it to have. In this case, list is the requirement, and the requirement is to put at least 3 elements in it. I will just say 3 variations of greetings that I can think of, because that's the least creative thing right now. So we save and submit. As you can see, it works, and just a reminder, hi is at position 0, hey is at position 1, and hello is at position 2. So let's move on. Access by offset. Oh, that's what we're going to be looking at now. So do you remember how to access an element of an array by offset with the square brackets notation? So if we need help, we can check the hint, but we don't need help, right? Because we already know this. Log the third element of the languages array to the console. Make sure to do this by accessing the third element's index. So if it's the third element, it has an index of 2, because in arrays you start counting from 0. So how we can do this is like this. Console.log. Our list is, or our array is called languages, and we want to access the third element. So HTML is 0, CSS is 1, JavaScript is 2, and JavaScript is the third lesson. I mean the third element, but has an index of 2, which is why you put 2 in the square brackets. And if we save and submit code, JavaScript should be printed out there. Oops, and that's how you spell console, which is why I get the error. There we go. Oh, and just an interesting thing that I found out just before starting this video is you don't have to reload the whole page if you want to rerun the program. You can just press this X here. You probably have figured that out before me, but if you haven't, then good. I showed you something new. So now you can run this program as many times as you want and edit it as many times as you want with new improvements. So save and submit, and let's move on. Array properties. So good work. If you remember, arrays have property in common with strings. They both use .length. So a string is just an array of characters basically, which is why they have the .length in common with an array. When you call .length on an array, it returns the number of elements that an array has. A string would return the number of characters it has. Under your existing code, log the number of elements in languages to the console. Ooh, how do you do that again? I think it's languages.length, or was it length? It might have been length. Let's see. Oops, nope. It was something different. Was it length of languages? No. Okay, let's just check the hint. It was, oh, it's just .length, and we want to console log it. So let's do that first. Console log of languages and length of languages. I'm used to counting length as a function, which is why I put the parentheses there, but I guess that JavaScript doesn't really count it as a function, which is quite weird. 7 submit, and we get a 5 because we have 5 elements in it, which go up to an index of 4. Because you start counting at 0. I will keep on repeating this because it's quite confusing at start. So let's go to our next lesson. Iterating over an array. By combining all of these ideas with the for loop, you can iterate over the languages array and print out each element in turn. So we have done this before. You can watch one of the other videos, but I will do it again just for the sake of the lesson. So go ahead and use a for loop to log each element of the languages array to the console. Click stack to get a hint, but I think I can remember how to do this. So a for loop, again, you need to make a variable in it, then you need to say until when to do it, and the third one is what to do after each time it's done something. So usually you use I, and you need to use var I think, or I don't know. So I think this is going to work either way. So I equals 0 is the most common thing to do, because you want to start counting at 0, because you start counting at 0 in an array. And do this while I is less than the length of languages. If I can spell languages, but because I might not spell it correctly, I will just copy and paste it. Each time you've done that, increase I by 1, which is I++. And what we want to do now is console.log languages and with the index of I. Let's see if that works. Oops, okay, it doesn't. So it's probably just that you don't want that var there. Or maybe not. That's weird. So I equals 0 while I is less than, oops, I want total length. It's where I went wrong. There we go. So you actually don't need the var there. So what this does is you make a variable I, and it starts off with being 0. Do this while I is less than the length of languages. So once I becomes 5, because that's the length of languages, it's going to stop straight away. So what happens is I is 0, it prints out the first element of languages, which is languages 0. Then it becomes 1, prints out CSS, 2 prints out JavaScript, 3 prints out Python, 4 prints out Ruby. Then I becomes 5, and it doesn't enter this because 5 is more than the length of languages, or is the same as the length of languages, but you want it to be less, which is why it just exits the for loop. So this was just a cover lesson, I mean not a cover lesson, a reminder lesson, a review lesson is what I meant to say, of what we already know, but just to remind ourselves of how we can use arrays. In the next lesson, hopefully we will be starting actually using more with arrays, as it suggests there. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. Please like the video, share it if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it, and tell me how I can improve for next time. But until that next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.